otherwise you're not going to find it. That's one of the biggest problems people have when they glass a wing, is trying to find that after it's been glassed. So having that space there really helps. There I've got my 1/16 of an inch. And don't worry about here where you trimmed it back, because that'll get filled in too. Now if you're just going to leave this wing as is and not go that route, then you can put it right up against each other. But if you're going to glass it, please leave that there, or else you're going to have issues. It doesn't hurt to double check your cuts before you make them, because it's not something you want to have to do over and over again. So here I've got my coroplast for this. These are different when you're looking at cutting these and opening these up. You're going to need more than half this distance of your speed control. So if it's inch, maybe an inch would be fine. About 2/3 would probably be better. And all that does is it just guarantees that if you have to pull that speed control out, you can pull it out. There, we've got that. Place this in here like it's going to go in. Open it up, and then put 2 more marks in here so you know where to put your hot, or where not to go with your hot glue. Now here's the fun part here is the situation with the hot glue getting onto your other area there, or other door. Just open it up. As long as you can open it up, you're fine. It's not going to hurt anything. Just going to hold these on there until it sets a little bit. But all you do is you repeat that process until you get these done. And then we'll move on to the servos, or actually the bottom. The bottom coroplast gets put on before we actually go to these two. Okay, what I got here is I got the wing upside down. I'm just going to show you real quick here. I didn't show installing the second piece of carbon fiber here. Now, it will be after the CG if you do install it, but typically what I do is I measure from this edge here to this inside of this carbon here, and it's usually a ½ inch. Allows about 1/4 of an inch of foam space there. It won't interfere with my motor, it won't interfere with anything else. You just route it out and glue it in like I showed you before. Only pushing here when you glue it in. It's typically anything that's going to be higher kV, or not higher kV, but if you're going to go 150 miles an hour, it's best to put it in there instead of just relying on fiberglass, because fiberglass is just to strengthen it up uh, where you really should be relying on your structure, your carbon structure, um, for the majority of your strength. Um, glassing is another process in itself, but just to show you what I've got going on here, I've outlined my battery bay, and essentially all it was I determined the thickness here that I needed using this again as a guide. I started here, drew my line for that, and that's a 1/2 inch here and here. I used a whole sheet. This is a 6x7 sheet, and that's about a 1/2 inch from there to there. You can move it farther forward if you'd like. It's not a big deal. Just make sure you got enough material there. I'll just show you real quick. If I wanted to move that up and just minimize my cut here on the bottom, I can do that, and it gives me a little extra room there, but I will have to route that all out. This side here, all I did was I took this, and it gives me a 1/4 inch here, and then I just double checked against my carbon to make sure it was straight, and I drew my line. This whole area here will be routed out. It'll cover both the servo and this at the same time, and it'll be the same way over here on this side. I have not cut that out yet. This line here is part of this, and what this is a channel that's kind of hidden, tunnel, however you want to say it, but I use my router, and I'll route this out, and then I'll take a smaller router, or you can use a hobby knife, cut that, and then trim it out, and that allows your wires to pass through there. Your motor wires will run in here as well, and they'll come out on top in the center. So when you have this mounted, everything, the only thing sticking out is just going to be the bullets coming to this. Be real clean when it's finished. The motor mount cutout is based on the actual motor mount itself, and what I've done is I took this motor mount, set it up on its end, and I use the fin here as my inside line here. And the reason for that is that when you try to set this down in there, if you didn't use those fins, it's not going to fit. So it's important to leave that room there, and you may want to take just a little bit extra off as well. You got plenty of mounting surface on these, but other than that, it should be fine. And when I took my measurement, I measured from the center here to my surface, and the same thing on both sides. It came out to 1 3/8 total. So you just split the difference, measure from the center, and I always measure from furthest points away to make sure my line is straight. Now the actual cutout, I allow 1/4 inch here, and then if you measure the whole length of the motor, this is 1 3/4 inches. I'll probably do a 2-inch motor cutout. Just allows me to move it around a little bit if I need to, and allows air to get back behind there. Now when I forgot to say is these lines here for this outside of this, I use my carbon. It's straight across. That's how I got my line there. The same thing on that side. Same thing when I did my lines here for my prop cutout. It's a 6-inch prop, so 6.5 inches, 3 1/4 on each side. Use my carbon as my guide, drew my line down, Measure here is 3 1/4, and the same thing on this side. It's identical on both sides. Now this is 1 1/4 inches back from the very edge to where my motor is going to be, and that's going to give me 12 3/4 of an inch. This wing is probably only going to see 4S, mainly 3S. It's just something fun to fly. It's not something that I'm going to go out and try to break records with. This would be essentially a 400 version, single carbon spar, and I'm actually going to go ahead and install the second carbon spar, because if I do decide to sell it at some point, I want to make sure that whoever does get it has the ability to push the airframe 150 plus miles an hour. So it's important, even if you don't plan on it for resale value, just make those extra attempts, even though it does require just a little extra time. Now basically I'm going to do the same thing I did here, is transfer my lines, but I'll have to cut out my remaining pocket here for my servo. And I'll actually install the coroplast on the bottom section here where I need to before I install my servos.